It's located at 265 Henry Street on the Lower East Side. What they provide is human connections, social advocacy, active services, housing and employment, and education. Today, Henry Street Settlement provides services for over 60,000 people. In 1906, W.E. Du Bois met with the NAACP in one of the dining rooms at the Henry Street Settlement, and the purpose of their meeting was to fight for humanity and democracy. In 1913, it's called VNS today, is Visiting Nurse Services. Already they treat over 20,000 people throughout New York City. In 1947, Lillian Wall houses are New York City NYCHA houses that I mentioned when I first started. And these were called projects. Today, you cannot affiliate these developments as the name as projects because it's insulting. So they changed it to housing development. And that is what I choose to share today. You have any questions?
Tracy, a minor point. Did you say the organization was the VNA?
VNS, Visiting Nurse
VNS?
Services.
That's correct. I just wanted to make sure you knew I was listening carefully.
Yes.
How many of you out there ever heard of Lillian Wald before this class? Okay, we'll go.
I heard of it.
I'm curious.
I've heard of it, Professor.
Lippe, did you ever hear of Lillian Wald?
Yes.
Cliff?
No, no, I haven't.
Tracy, do this a little bit for me. Calculate the yes and no's. I'm very curious.
Okay.
There's one yes, one no so far. Eric? Eric? Yes, no.
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 Mason?
No.
Jose? Tamar?
Yes.
Samantha?
No.
Liana?
Yeah, Professor?
Had you heard, is your answer yes?
What's the question again?
The question, before taking this class or hearing Tracy's fine report today, had you ever heard of Lillian Wald?
Not as much as I know
No.
about her now.
Tracy, yes or nay? Patty Russo?
Remember, Patty is driving home.
Oh. Robert?
Yeah, Professor.
The answer, your answer is yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I heard of it,
What-
Professor. Yes,
what's
I know
the
you were
total?
asking.
Patty said yes.
For me, it's my first time. I never heard. So I'm from Albania, so it's my first time to study the history.
I
Asher said no. Cliff?
Sure. I'm going to
No, I
ask
haven't heard of
those of you who still have your icons on, blocking recognition, take them off, please. There we go. Thank you, Yukira.
I'm
Well,
sorry. I'm just like I'm here, but I'm in and out because I'm in Israel.
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yakira, was that a yes or a no?
A yes to what?
Have you ever heard of
Lillian Wald.
Lillian Wald?
It sounds a little bit. Whoever it is sounds familiar. I might have learned in school, but I don't know.
Tracy Market is a no.
Okay, we need Rachel.
No,
You're up to
Tracy.
Rachel.
No.
No,
Tracy,
Liana, did
Yes.
we get your answer in?
I'm not sure. Did you hear me? I said I have heard of her.
okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, what's the total, Tracy?
9 no's, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 no's. 9 no's and 1, 2, 3, 4 yeses.
I'm going to tie this into my remarks about the midterm exam very shortly. You shall see. I want to turn the floor open to questions that you may or may not have about Lillian Wald's life and how it influences you.
Professor,
Save me from having to go around the room and ask you, who has a question? Who would like to lead off?
I do. This is Leanna speaking. My question is, how is Lillian Wald's story like something we can learn from? Or how does it apply to our lives?
That's the point. I wouldn't waste my time or your time to the extent that I have in terms of the syllabus and having Tracy do research and lecture to you if I didn't think Lillian Wald had something to do with your lives this very moment.
I understand that she does have something to do with our lives, but could you provide more insight on how that is?
Okay, here we go. Here's the first aspect of the review for your midterm. Turn to page 4 in your syllabus. For those of you who don't have it with you, pay careful attention. For those of you who do have it, let me say this. There are hundreds of pages, literally hundreds of pages that have been prepared for you to read and learn about Black-Jewish relations. I say to you sincerely, if you don't know anything but what I have on page 4 for you, you will have earned your way into the modern world, because this is what it's all about. It's about who you are and who you think you are. You may think you know something about your current circumstances in society, but you may be misleading yourself. Not if you pay attention to the 5 categories of influence that I've outlined for you on page 4. So let us all read together what page 4 has to say. What this course is about. How will it be studied? The use of selective items will be taken from the history of both groups. The purpose of this course is to get you to think, T-H-I-N-K, think clearly and be able to support your opinions with facts, F-A-C-T-S, not just emotions and preconceived ideas and personal bias. That's what this course is aiming to teach you. So that when you get out in the real world, you'll know what's happening firstly to yourselves. Because it's coming not from where you think it's coming from 5 sources. And those 5 sources can be your enemies or your friends. They are the masses. Now, who am I talking about when I'm saying the masses are your enemies or your friends? Who are the masses, Jose, that are affecting your life? That's correct. How did you get to school today? Or did you leave yet? You didn't leave the house yet? You have neighbors? The people you encounter coming back and forth, their opinions, what they're doing and saying are affecting you one way or the other. The second category, your leaders. Tamar, who are your leaders?
Who are my leaders in the world or in my life?
Who are your leaders in your life?
My parents, my friends.
That's right. Who else?
God.
Keep going. So what you're saying is that whatever you think about and whatever it is about what you're thinking is influenced by your parents, by your friends,
And everyone around me.
everyone around you, plus the unknown that you're calling God. So would you say, Tamar, that Tamar is a manifestation of these other personalities?
I think so.
That's a very good answer. That you're not sure. And that's what I'm getting to. I want Tamar to come out of this course knowing what Tamar thinks. Not what God thinks, or her friends, or her parents. She can note what they have to say. She can pray to God for sustenance. But it's Tamar, in essence, that is important. What does she know in her heart that her friends don't? What does Tamar have to say to her parents who do not experience everything that Tamar experiences? Samantha, your leaders have directed you to Turo, to this class. Besides your mother, what other leaders are leading your life? You told me you want to go into some field of psychology. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that your idea, or does that come from your leaders? Your God,
Yeah.
your friends?
Mostly my leaders.
Who is Samantha? Who is really Tamar? And Cliff, when are you going to find out what the hell you're about? How many leaders and friends and gods do you have to talk to before you know what you want to do with your life? You think you don't know where you're going. That's what you think. But it's not what the thinking part of you is really thinking. It's your leaders and your friends and your God that's deciding that Cliff doesn't know where he's going. And at one point in your life, you will find out what Tamar and Samantha already know. That they want to listen to their leaders and their masters. But then Patty and Yakira are going to find out something else. That in addition to their masters and their leaders, there's something else that's telling Patty she should be here. She should be taking care of family. She should be climbing those stairs. And Yakira should be traveling wherever the planes are taking her. What is that third factor that's influencing everybody that's on this screen, including Cliff, who's not sure he knows where he is right now, and Samantha, who does, or thinks she does? It's the institution that you're responding to by showing up at 12:30 on Thursday to take this class, because that institution is telling that you have to go to college and get a degree. You're taking a low bow to the institutions in your life, in this society, that says it's important to receive an education. And even if you're a Hasidic yeshiva that has its own principles, it has to cope with the law and the institution of education in New York State that's pointing a finger at them now. If you read the New York Times today, and saying, you're not doing what you're supposed to. Now, whether you agree with that institution in New York State, and I don't, by the way, you have to bow to it, because it's an institution that you're living in and with. And you're here right now. And that's the fourth aspect of your thinking. You have to obey the laws of the land. It doesn't matter if you want to grow up on a hippie farm. You've got to get an education, at least on a certain level. If you want to pay your rent and you want to eat, and not be a victim of social services, you get a job. And if you get a job, you have to bow to the law of taxation, whether you like it or not, whether it's doled out equally or unfairly. You pay your taxes. It's the law of the land. And you think you're a free man or a free woman. Emphasis on the word think. And last but not least, when you look in the mirror in the morning, Eric, Jose, Mason, all of us, when we look in the mirror in the morning, when we think we know what we think, we have to remember that we're all victims of historic events. Those poor thousands and thousands of civilians that are being destroyed the world over today by floods, by famines, by missiles, How much more do you need than a brief minute or two on the news every night to know how fortunate we are to escape death grip that's gripping us all the time? In our families, in our communities, in our civilizations, in the brief time that we have here to go to school, to meet a loved one, to raise a family, to be able to love before it's over. Think about that. This is your only chance. It's time you knew what you think you want to think about your lives. You need not wait until tomorrow. Put these 5 categories aside and look in the mirror and say to yourself, this is what I want. Next week, I'm going to ask you to answer 3 questions. It's an open book test. Have no fear of passing. Nobody passes life's tests. We're all going to fail in the end. It's the attempt that we make while we're still being asked to think about tomorrow. Next week's 3 questions will ask you to think about Black-Jewish relations. And I hope that you'll be able to relate the questions to your lives as a student, as somebody who mixes with the masses, who's law-obeying, who follows the regulations of institutions, and above all, as pays respect to their parents and tradition. In the words of Hillel, the next 300 pages of history is all commentary. I've tried to cull from the hundreds of books that I've read on the subject of Black-Jewish relations. I've tried to take out and extract the most significant things that have happened, limited to the history of the 2 peoples in the United States. It's only from the 1600s on, and really in reality from the early 1900s on, that there was any sort of relationship between blacks and whites in this country. There just weren't enough of us, both sides, to interact and to be significant. I've selected particular types that are representative of the Jewish group, as well as from historic events, as well as from the Black community. And I've de-emphasized the Black Power movement and Louis Farrakhan and the openly anti-Semitic aspects of Black-Jewish relations, because I don't care what decade in history you want to look at, you can go back to biblical times. There have always been people that hate other people whether it's blacks and Jews or whites or otherwise. So there's nothing new about that. But there is something new about Black-Jewish relations in the United States that's a standout in the interaction between the two groups, something to be admired, something to look up to. And I hope you'll find that information interesting. If there are no other questions right now, I'm going to turn the floor open to the presentations of your term paper per the schedule. If you look at the syllabus on page 3, you'll find a strange notice on December 1st and December 8th, student presentation. That means any one of you that wants to read your paper out loud or speak about the subject of your paper to the class, it's going to be open, it's voluntary, it's for you to do at will. You can only get an extra plus on your final grade for doing that. The term paper per se, meaning the actual paper, the research, November 17th is when it's due. I expect you to have it with you, and I'm going to call you at random to read it. The days are moving swiftly, as life is. I'm here to help you with the term work, with the work that comes after the term ends, with your graduate applications, with your career choices, and with anything else that you might want to discuss with me or Tracy or Governor Patterson. Are there any other questions?
Yes, Professor, it's Patty, sorry. Okay, so the
Yes,
term,
Patty.
the term paper is due on the 17th. Do you want us to email it to you?
No, as long as you have it with you on the 17th, I'm happy.
Okay, so then we would read it on the 17th and then still
Ye-
present it on the 1st or the 8th if we wanted to?
On the 1st, it's optional. On the 17th, I want you to have it with you.
Okay, all right.
And you may want to dress it up or finalize it after the 17th, but it should be done by then.
Okay.
Last week, somebody asked a question on the from the floor. Who are the Neanderthals? Do you remember that question? Tracy,
Yes.
do you remember there was a cutout of 2 pages that was, you and I were struggling on 2 separate years to try and include it in the syllabus.
Yes.
But I think this year you were able to figure it out and you did include it in the syllabus.
Yes.
I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, which meant that my particular version of the syllabus may have left it out. I wanted to know if you can pinpoint it for me, because that's what I wanted to show the student that asked that question about the Neanderthals.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. Does anybody know who asked that question last week? No? Okay, he or she is not here.
Is this what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's the one. What page is that, Tracy?
Okay.
My right arm, I could
Page
never
80.
find these. What's that, Mason?
Page 80.
80, Tracy, 80, according to the
Yeah.
director of publications in our class, Mason Begopran. Without going to it, there should be further information about the Neanderthals there. And I have to tell you, how did we get from this? you're all in college. It's a high time that you knew a little bit about biological evolution and where we came from. I don't expect you to know about the Denisovians. I do expect you to know that we're all considered Homo sapiens, but I think it's important to know a little bit about Neanderthals. At least I find it important, because when I meet many people in the course of my many experiences, I realize how true it is, to the extent that Neanderthals are still living within us, unfortunately. I wish you all well. I'll see you midterm time. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Dr. Weiss,
Yes, Tracy.
Cliff would like to change his topic.
Who wants to change the topic? Cliff?
Cliff,
Cliff, what would you like to do?
Yes, I would like to do Jews and slavery.
someone else is doing it.
All right.
No, Cliff, that Cliff has come around to a decision that has to be applauded. And he gets grace on that. Cliff, God bless you. Whatever other forces you believe in, Jews and slavery is yours. Take it. You made a decision, live with it.
Thank you.
Pardon the pun, but Cliff, you are no longer a slavery victim to indecision. You've made a decision. One more to go. And I hope this class helps you along the way. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you
Have
for
a great
coming.
week, Professor.
Have a great week too.
I'm staying on the screen. If anybody wants to question me or talk to me, I'm staying on. It's early yet. To those of you who are leaving, goodbye and have a good one.
Bye, Professor. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Professor. Bye, everyone. Have a good
Is
weekend.
Tracy still on?
I'm here.
Tracy, you mentioned in the chat to send you something.